5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form,
it's not that easy to just fall into a gorilla.
That's what I don't understand. The enclosures are difficult.
It's not like you just walk up and whoops, he fell into the gorilla enclosure. You know, that like that kid actually had to do some climbing. He had to go, you know, out of his way. And his mom, and where was his mom this whole time? You know, and at the end of the day, it ends up in the gorilla tragically being shot. And I saw the funniest meme. I think that I captured it completely. It's Bill Cosby, and he and Bill Cosby says, "I could have tranquilized that gorilla." And tell me, he nails it. He nails it, man. I love that. So besides that, then Brandon pulls up something else that I thought was interesting. Here's the deal on this. All right, look. You guys know that I don't agree with, you know, the way that our educational system works, right? So you guys know about that. I rant about that a lot, right? So, but I mean, I just found this funny. You can probably guess exactly where this came from. This is a test that a teacher gave to her students, and I'm just going to read you guys question number one. Question number one. He says, Ramon has an AK-47. with a 30-round clip.
Hey, Ramon's packing.
Ramon is gangster. All right? He usually misses 6 out of every 10 shots and uses 13 rounds.
I do not trust Ramon with the gun.
Yeah, really. This guy misses a lot of shots. And uses 13 rounds per drive-by shooting. How hilarious is it? This is a quiz that this teacher gave a student, right? How many drive-by shootings can Ramon attempt before he has to steal enough ammunition and reload?
That's hilarious.
So,
oh my goodness. So, is this public school or private school?
This is a public school, and I'll give you guys one guess on where this came from, what state this came from, and it wasn't Texas.
I'm gonna be embarrassed. I already know where it came from.
Let's see if our Facebook users can get it.
Can our Facebook users get it? Where did that come from, guys? What state?
Come on, Facebook. Give us what state that came from.
I'm just going to give it to you because I think it's hilarious because BB went to school there, and I pick on him for going to school there all the time. It came directly from Alabama. And
Roll Tide.
Yeah, Roll Tide. So, you know, I was thinking about this, and I'm like, you know, this teacher probably didn't mean that. Let's play a quick game. Is it or is it not racist?
Well, let's read question number 2. We need more source.
You need more source material?
Because Ramon might be well known in the neighborhood.
Well, you know. Okay, here's the next one. It gets better. Leroy has 2 ounces of cocaine. First of all, why did the kid have to be named Leroy? Yeah. And why does he have to have 2 ounces of cocaine? I don't understand.
2 ounces.
All right.
Wow. A lot of blow.
He sells an 8-ball. He sells an 8-ball to Antonio for $320 and 2 grams to Juan for $8 per gram. What is the street value of the rest of his hold?
Wow.
So, you got to figure out what an 8-ball is.
You know, the thing is, you got to be a really smart kid to know all this stuff.
My question is,
how do they know what
how
an
do the
8-ball
other
is?
students know how much an 8-ball is?
Exactly.
Are they allowed to use Google for this test?
I think she thought she was like Michelle Pfeiffer out of that movie in The Dangerous Minds. You guys remember that one?
That's a great movie.
I remember watching that and thinking, dude, this is exactly what this teacher was in. Like, she was in that scenario where she walked into like a school, like a high school in like the equivalent of like 5th Ward, right? And she walks in and she's like this pretty cute little white woman, and she sits down at her desk and she's like, how do I connect with these kids? Well, here's how.
8 balls and AKs.
Yeah, they know 8 balls and they know AK-47s. I'm gonna teach them math. So anyway, all right, we got an awesome show for you guys today. Thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna be talking and introducing our guest of today's hour, Ashley Patten, here in just a second. We're gonna go over some really neat stuff to help you guys' real estate business. And we're gonna probably give you guys more than you bargained for, because Ashley's gonna talk about some of his active cases, some stuff that people have done to mess up some airships, some stuff that people are doing to do things right and close deals faster and easier. And then I'm going to pick his brain on how you went from closing 10 or 15 deals a month to what, 250 plus last month? 250. Don't brag, man. Don't brag.
250 right on the nail.
Nice, man. Congratulations.
We'll be back.
Picket Realty and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your network, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back. David, why don't you tell us a little bit, how's the weather out there today?
It's been the same as the past couple of days. If you haven't been living under a rock, obviously you guys know we're getting some rain. We are expecting more rain this afternoon, scattered thunderstorms all day. There's still a possibility of flash flooding, so folks stay safe out there. Have a couple accidents over there preventing traffic from flowing smoothly. At 9:53, we just had an accident on the West San Houston Tollway northbound at West Gulf Bank, cleared. And
if for some reason this thing collapses because of these storms, then at least we can blame it on that, right? We just look, it was the weather, that's why it's not working. So anyway, I want to introduce you guys to a good friend of mine and tell you guys about him. Where did we meet, Ashley? We met years ago, man.
We met years ago. You were in another company, and
that's right.
And you split off and started your own thing.
I split off, and I remember. Do you remember that I caught you at Wild West? Do you remember being at Wild West?
I do, and you kept on wanting to talk business. I'm like, let me just have a beer.
And then we got plastered, and that didn't end up well. I think that's the night I got ticked off at the taco guy up front in front of Wild West, because he didn't have hot sauce. And I'm like, man, you can't sell tacos and not have hot sauce.
God, I remember that.
That just really irks me, man. You can't do that in Texas. So after that, man, it's just been incredible watching you grow, man. I mean, and I didn't really see, how things were in the 2006, 2008 era, when I know that your business kind of took a dive, and then you felt a little bit of what all the other entrepreneurs feel out there, and when they're growing their businesses. And now I look at you and I'm like, man, Ashley has really, really done it. He's gone from, literally getting ready to shut the doors after the collapse or the last bubble. And now, I mean, 250 transactions a month. There's not a lot of title companies out there that can do that.
Yeah, that's just in Houston. We did another 190 in all.
Look at that. What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Was that almost 450 transactions? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It's unfortunately, whenever the downturn hit, nobody bailed out the service companies. They only bailed out the banks.
Yeah.
And so small business owners, they end up with bad credit, and, they try to keep everything in float. And, you just have to ride out the cycle and everything will be better.
Yeah. And, that's the kind of stuff that we really want to a little bit more about and figure out how you did it, why, what you account that success to, because whether you're selling a service in terms of closing transactions, or whether you're selling a house, or whether you're selling, anything that has to do with real estate or widgets for all that matter, it's the same thing. It's the same. At the end of the day, you're still having to have a phenomenal team, which I think that's one of the things that has really helped you. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, that's exactly it. That's what's helped you as well, because you surround yourself with A players. And at the end of the day, when everything went bad, I knew if I kept my core folks, everything would be fine.
Yeah.
And that's your identity, because as a business owner, you're only the face so far. and
I
then
agree.
everybody else is. And so as long as you keep your team happy and on the same page, everything will turn out well.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with that. It's, you know, it's kind of funny that you mentioned my team. That's, I mean, you guys can see what my team is right here, and it's awesome, man. BB wanted to do this show, and I was kind of hesitant about doing it, right? Because you know, I don't really like to talk that much. But
That's the lie of the century right there.
Is that on a test question?
You should win an Oscar for saying
I know,
that with a
right?
straight face.
I know. I said it. So you know, part of our deal was, hey, I'll do this show, but I should be able to say and rant about and not have you be my FCC, because in the office he's my FCC. He regulates all the stuff that I say. He wants to make sure that I don't offend anyone, right? So we said, well, you know, on the radio, as long as I offend 50% of the folks or less, then I can say it. And so that's where we're at now, man.
That's
But no,
very generous, Javon. Very generous.
no, man. But I think it's really cool that you guys just bounce back and you're growing at an incredible pace, man.
We are. Every week I turn around, there's somebody new in our office, which is a beautiful thing.
There's always somebody new in your office. The last time I was there, I could hardly recognize some of the people. I'm like, who are you and you? No, that's cool, man. I love it because even though there are new people there, you're still maintaining a high level of quality in terms of the people and in terms of the service, which you know, I think that's really important to growth. And I've made that mistake where I go out and I get a bunch of people just because I want to have a lot of people,
Right.
but not been focused on quality, and that kind of bites you in the butt too, you know. And it's bitten me in the butt, and now because of that, everything has changed. Now my mentality has changed, so
Right.
I know how important that is, and I can appreciate it when I see it, because I literally see it when I walk into your office and see how people act and how they feel. So we want to talk about a little bit of actual real estate, not just gorillas and not just and you know,
we were having so much fun.
and racist teachers and whatever the heck else we just talked about. We want to figure out, you know, what are people doing to screw up their closings, and when I mean by people, you know, you deal with a core folk of people. You deal with your realtors, you deal with those a lot, and you deal with wholesalers and investors. And now you're getting into some commercial stuff too, from what I hear. But from what I understand, your big group of people is realtors, wholesalers, investors. When they're bringing you a transaction, what are some of the things that they're doing to mess things up and keep those transactions from closing? What are some of the things that really bother you as an attorney that make it difficult?
Probably the biggest thing is investing. Who owns the property? I mean, a contract is executed with a husband, the wife doesn't sign, or a contract is executed by an heir without the documentation. 90% of the issues can all be resolved with communication. The biggest issue I'm seeing is people show up at closing expecting that we're going to know that a dead person is dead, which is almost impossible to do, because it's we don't know the people. We sit behind a desk, we process an order. If you have John and Jane Seller, and only John shows up because Jane is dead, we don't know that.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is communication. If you have a subject to where you're buying a house with existing mortgage, a big thing that we're seeing is people don't actually change information and passwords at the closing table.
Yeah.
And so what happens is basically all that could affect a do on sale clause. So when you sell the property, the lender could accelerate the note. Well, the only person that gets notification of that would be the seller.
Yeah.
Was the original seller.
Original seller.
Yeah, you know what's funny? It's funny that you brought that up. I'm very happy you did, because a large part of our audience are realtors. So we're broadcasting this to a lot of the real estate industry, but many of those people are literally just plain retail real estate agent, which is phenomenal. But you mentioned subject to. Is it legal or is it illegal to do a subject to transaction?
Completely legal.
Completely legal.
Completely legal.
You know what's crazy? Every realtor that I've met out there that is, you know, probably over 45 years old and has been practicing retail real estate for most of their life will tell you it's illegal. Isn't that crazy?
That's great.
And when I say, hey, you know, you can be rich by understanding how to set one of these up, well, that's illegal. I get that all the time. It's the craziest thing, man. I'm glad you brought that up. We got to wrap it up. We got to go to a quick break, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more about some of the other stuff that are bothering you and some other really neat ways to make sure your deals do close.
We'll be back.
If you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, grow your network, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back. We have our special guest in the house today, Ashley Patten. And we're going to keep talking to him and finding out what's legal and what's not legal in the world of real estate.
All right, so we were just talking about some of the things that really make things difficult to close a file, and in that we had Ashley mention that people don't trade passwords and stuff to the accounts when they're doing a subject to transaction. And my question to him was, is it legal or is it illegal to do a subject to transaction? And you guys heard it from the horse's mouth. It is legal to do a subject to transaction. And for you realtors out there that are watching this and are probably thinking, what the heck is that? It's let me just kind of paraphrase it for you really simply. It's pretty much the best way to buy a ton of houses and not use your own credit. You are simply assuming someone else's note. You're taking over subject to the existing mortgage, and that's where the subject to phrase actually comes from. You're not using any of your own credit. Many times you're not using any of your own money. You're just sometimes making up some back payments, and then you can turn around and rent that house or owner finance it. You can do. There's a ton of exit strategies to that. We do a bunch of that, and it's been a phenomenal way for us to build wealth. And guys, if you guys have never heard of that kind of stuff, look it up. Make sure that you log on to our show, because those are all the kind of things that we want to talk about. We want to teach you guys about and show you how you can do it, even tax-free or tax-deferred out of your IRA or self-directed IRA, which is a nice little plug-in for our class. We have a class coming up June 16th.
June 16th. Yes,
that's
sir.
right.
Week
And
after our happy hour.
that's Quest IRA, and that's in the morning. It's from 10 to 1 p.m. And we're going to be teaching realtors how to retire rich by giving you guys all of the ins and outs on this stuff. So Ashley, give us some more ideas on what people are doing to mess things up to keep files from closing easily.
Well, just real quick on that subject too. There's only really two big landmines you have to avoid. Is first, when you sell a property, make sure it's being done, primarily a cash deal, because a lot of conventional lenders, they don't like them and they won't fund money on them. Secondly, is it could trigger a due on sale clause, which means a liquidation. Now,
that's what everybody fears, right?
Right.
So okay, they take the property, they essentially have the property deeded to them, deeded to their name, but the original mortgage stays in the previous owner's name.
Right.
All right. So now the mortgage company finds out, and they have a choice. They can say, all right, we'll let it slide as long as we're getting payments,
Right.
or we'll call this thing due.
Yeah, and what does that process actually look like? Because a lot of people talk about the due on sale clause, but nobody knows what is it. I mean, is it like the next day I've got to come in with a check, or what does that process work?
No, they still have to accelerate the note, which means that they have to give you 30 days notice. So they'll give you notice saying, hey, we understand that the property is no longer owned by you. Normally it's done around tax time. Whenever they look at the taxes and they see that John Seller no longer owns the property, it's now, investor, Joe investor.
Yeah.
So they will send notice, and essentially when that notice gets hit, you have 30 days acceleration and 21 days of posting if they go right for it. Now, right now, no lender in the world that I know of is exercising those because the cost of money is so cheap. Interest rates at 30 years are still around 3.5%, 4%, 15 years even lower. So the only time that you'll have to really worry about those is if the interest rate starts rising. Then if they start rising, then banks going to try to get the cheap money. So unlike a traditional falling behind payments, you can catch up. With acceleration clause, there's no catch up on it. So once they put you in default, you have to either A, the buyer's got to refinance it, B, the seller's got to refinance it, or the buyer can flip it back to the seller and he refinances, or somebody comes up with cash and just pays it off. So
right.
Communication's the key.
But you get 30 days, right?
Right.
And is there a way to extend that, or what is the process if you want to drag that out?
With the bank, or
negotiate with the bank. I mean, the bank can do anything, and then there's always a nuclear option to where, the seller, the original seller, could file bankruptcy, which always extends it out. So
yeah.
Sometimes you may have to flip out a property and just it's luck of a draw. But for the most part, you will know, and if you get 51 days, and that's 51 days if the time falls, correctly, because you have to foreclose on the first Tuesday of the month.
Right.
And so whatever that Tuesday falls on, it may not be timing, so it's usually 2 or 3 months.
All right. So you're saying they give you 30 days. You still have 21 days based on
They still have posting.
posting.
Right.
All right. And there's still probably a way for you to extend that if you talk to the bank.
Right.
Or maybe if you're still friends with the previous seller, you say, hey man, I might need you to help me out here.
Right.
And that keeps you from losing the house.
Very rarely will a bank foreclose on like that way, especially if the note's being caught current.
I remember when we started buying subject to properties back in the day, and people were telling us, oh, put them in the land trust, and nobody, the lenders will never find out. And I have a couple in land trusts now. And then, I started buying a bunch, and I was buying so many of them at one point that I just didn't have the time to set up the land trust thing and go through all that paperwork. So I just, we just put them in one of our LLCs, and, it's never given us a problem. We've never had an issue.
Had a single problem.
We've never had an issue. Now we did run into some issues with the insurance. We've had to go back and forth with the mortgage companies not accepting the new insurance policies because they want to see them in the original owner's name.
Correct.
So we've had some issues with that. We've had to find ways to be creative and overcome that. But besides that, I mean, and we thought the same thing when we started buying subject to. We said, what's the worst case scenario? We'll either refinance them, or we'll package them up. We'll take them to a bank. We'll have them refinance them.
Right.
It's just, we're not worried about those the banks calling those notes due on us. And in the meantime, we were able to start a decent rental portfolio or an owner finance portfolio. Really, that's what we did. And it was literally on someone else's credit. It was phenomenal. So,
Yeah, we close between 30 and 40 of those a month. So it's a
what's funny? Not a lot of title companies know how to do that, and
No.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the reasons why we like using you guys, because you actually understand what that transaction is. And when we've reached out to the title companies before, it's like, hey, we want to close the subject to. It's gonna be this deal where we're gonna take over someone else's mortgage, but it's gonna stay in their name. And they're like, wait a minute,
can't
what?
do that.
What? You're not gonna pay it off? What is that? What? That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's really, really cool. Give me some other ideas, some other stuff that you think. You mentioned probate a while ago. You mentioned
it's not every person who dies needs a probate. So if you've got mom and dad die, leaving 2 kids, some people will open up probate instead of doing an affidavit of heirships.
So they'll go out and they'll hire an attorney,
Right.
and they'll pay them. What is a probate? What does a probate case run nowadays? What do you guys think?
Between $3,500 and $4,000.
Okay, so they'll go out and pay an attorney $4,000 to open up or do a case, instead of just doing heirship affidavits, which cost what?
$48.
Wow.
All right.
That's a big difference.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I bet you that there are realtors and investors and wholesalers and you name it out there doing this stuff all the time. You know, I hear it all the time. Well, I got to go talk to a probate attorney. Well, do you really have to?
Well, it takes you a year to get that done too.
So
most
now you're
probates
dragging it out a
and
year.
half, right? And if you start the affidavits and then you file probate, you just destroy the affidavits because once the probate takes jurisdiction, the probate court has jurisdiction. And probate is Latin to prove, so the probate court is to prove that it's last will and testament of the dead person, which means that they've got to notice everybody. So that's what takes so long, because anybody who's an heir or possible heir has to get notification. Usually they do it by publication, but not always.
Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of the times in those situations, I feel like that's the first thing people do is, oh, I got to go to probate. And it's like, wait. You have other options. You don't necessarily have to go to probate.
It's what was done, and that's why they do it. They don't know. It's not their fault. They just don't know better because they don't do that line of business.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so key to know real estate professionals such as y'all, because y'all can walk people the right way.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know what? We got a pretty interesting comment here. I just checked them. I haven't got a chance, and we're getting.
We got some good questions
We're
too.
getting a bunch of them, but our friend Tim Green has some interesting stuff on the subject to stuff we were just talking about. He mentioned, and this comes up a lot. This is a question that comes up a whole lot. So Tim, I know you're watching. Thank you very much for posting your questions. Let me see if I can knock at least one of these out. He says, during a subject to, how does the original owner clear up credit space? The debt of the house maintains on the credit report, correct? So they more than likely can't buy another house until the original one is paid off or refinanced by the buyer. Now, we run into this scenario all the time. And in fact, it keeps us from buying more subject twos, because the idea of someone coming in and saving someone's credit and taking over their payments to a lot of sellers is a very good option.
Right.
But then they start thinking about it and they're like, well, what happens when I want to buy a house?
You're married for 30 years.
You're married.
Your mortgage.
Yeah.
And the only way to free up the credit would be to have either A, the refinance, B, a modification. So if the mortgage company agrees to let you out of the note in favor of the buyer, I mean, that's great. But most
that would be like a full assumption, though.
full assumption.
Yeah, but we're thinking, you know, can we at least prove that the original seller is no longer holding that debt, that someone else is making it? And will, you know, after a certain amount of time, is it possible for them to be able to go to a mortgage company and say, hey, yeah, fine, it's still on my credit, but look, I'm not really holding this debt. You think that's possible?
You can show an asset, and that's always been done, but likely that what happens is the current mortgage company every month is reporting the old seller, you know, and so it's generally it's not going to free up the line because you've got the debt listed on the credit report.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a really good question for a good mortgage loan officer too, Tim. And one of the things we'll try to do is bring a mortgage loan officer on here so we can answer that question more clearly for you. But I've seen, me personally, one case where one of the sellers that we worked with did go out and buy a new house, but it took him 1.5 years and of someone else, in this case us, making his payments.
Right.
And he was able to actually document everything, show that to the mortgage company that he was applying for a mortgage with, and they were able to approve that by removing that payment out of his DTI, his debt to income, and therefore give him a second mortgage. So it is possible, but I think it's going to come down to what mortgage company he's dealing with and whether they will accept for him to prove that he's no longer holding that debt himself, that he's essentially passed it on. So yeah, thank you very much for posting that question. Now we got a couple other ones here.
Yeah, we got one from Fabian. He asked, when having several subject to properties, is it best to have them on a series LLCs?
I'm a big advocate of the series LLC because you have one incorporation and then you just use that same corporation over and over and over again. And talk to your CPA because it's key that you and your CPA are on the same page. But a series LLC is, you mentioned earlier, Alan, you mentioned land trust. Most underwriters will not underwrite a file with a land trust. They are scared of them. So a series LLC would be much better than a land trust.
So it's funny because different attorneys will tell you different things. One of the attorneys that we spoke to about originally when we were setting up our subject to transactions, BB, remember doing this?
Yeah.
When we sat down, we said, well, can we stick these into a series LLC? They advised us against doing that. So I will agree with what Ashley said. Talk to your CPA, figure out what's best for you, because it's very strange how different attorneys feel about series LLCs. We decided against doing that for whatever reason. And I think it was based on this other attorney that advised us. We should have just gone to you, man. Ashley, can you set us up or what, man?
Well, what happens is if there's a lawsuit, it hits everything in a lawsuit. But now with Series LLC, you have different buckets, so to speak. So it provides the best of both worlds.
Can those different buckets be pierced through litigation? Can someone say, hey, you know what? I know you have 10 buckets. You messed up on bucket number 1. Now I want all 10 of your buckets.
Well, this is America. You can sue for anything. So the answer question is they will try every time. They will try to go through the corporate fiction. You can sign everything right as long as you don't operate your business as a personal checking account. You'll probably win, but you will be sued and you will have to go through the nightmare of being drawn in there. It's just, we live in a very litigious world. That's why there's so many of us.
That's very true. You can't live with, you can't live without you.
Right.
not a lot of people like attorneys, Ashley. You know that, right?
99% of the attorneys give the 1% a bad name.
Yes, that's absolutely true. We've been real blessed to make some really good attorney friends in our time here in real estate, but we've also met some really, really horrible ones. And it's like everything else. It's like, even like with real estate agents or even investors, there's people out there who are taking over, people's mortgages and not even letting them know that they're doing it. Right. I ran into someone recently that is just setting up memorandums and collecting fees to release the memorandums. I want to talk about that here in just a second. I know some of those people have come across your desk. I just ran into one and it really ticked me off because that's literally their entire business, man. That's all they're about. We'll talk about that here when we get back.
Make sure and keep the questions coming. We'll keep answering those live when we come back.
Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. Make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, JOIN, at teamwpr.com. Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, grow your network, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back with Ashley Patten and Alan Hernandez.
Hey guys, thank you very much for joining us. We see you out there. We know that you're watching, and we appreciate it. It's awesome. I appreciate all of your good questions here. I haven't gotten a chance to read all of them, but David is helping me pick out some of the ones that are important regarding what we're talking about, and we're going to try to answer as many of those for you. So if you have a question, we've been talking a lot about things that really, people mess up when closing a deal. We got into some subject to stuff. This is a non-scripted show. We don't really have an agenda for you guys. We want to answer as much as we can for you, and we want to dig as much good information as we can from our guest today, Ashley Patten. Again, Ashley, thank you for joining us, man. It's been a blast. We just realized we've been speaking for about 30 minutes so far, and it has flown by. It's crazy how that happens. So you mentioned you started, we started talking about subject to and that kind of stuff, and then we made a little bit of fun of attorneys, but then I talked to you about how there's a group of investors, and I don't know if they all work together or not, but I ran into one who is literally going out there speaking to, I guess, any seller. I guess that's the way it works. And then they'll put a contract. I don't think it matters what price the seller wants. They'll put a contract on it. All right. They'll lock it up for 20 days or so. And while they're doing that, they'll record something that's called a memorandum of contract. Now, we use memorandum of contracts, but we use them in a completely different sense.
Right.
What these people are doing is they're going out there, they're recording the memorandum of contract, knowing darn well they're never going to buy that house, right? They let the contract expire, they never close on it, et cetera, et cetera. Then comes in real buyer, and this could be us. In this case, that's what happened. We came in, we're like, hey, we really are serious about buying this house. We want to close on it. And we open up title, and guess what's there?
Memorandum.
It's a memorandum of contract. So I'm calling, this is a lady, I'm calling this lady, and I'm like, hey, look, you don't have a contract on this. I know you did, but you don't anymore. It's expired, and I need you to release this thing because I got to close on it, you know? And she's like, well, I'll release it, but it's going to cost you $3,000.
Right.
Man, you know, when she said that, I wish there would have been like a kick you in the neck button on the phone, because I would have pressed that thing simultaneously several times. And I couldn't believe it, man. I come to find out, I started doing some research. This person literally does that for a living. They go out and they put these memorandums in place, and then essentially keep other people from closing on transactions. And I guess it's sort of like extortion. They're keeping people from closing so they can make money.
Well, they're trolls.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what they are. They're trolls. And so what they do is basically they know once you file a memorandum of option, memorandum of contract, it alerts everybody that, hey, there's a pending contract. Now, the only way a title company can get rid of that and proceed is if the contract is void on its face. Now, a lot of title companies would just say, hey, we can't close it because the memorandum's there, but it's got to be read.
Yeah.
And we've gotten past several of them because, they basically talked about the contract that's already expired. So there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. But for the most part, the penalty, the way to get that off there, if they say, hey, we won't remove it voluntarily, or you don't want to pay $3,000, would be a trespass and try suit or declaratory action in the court of law, which is expensive, and that's what they bank on.
Yeah.
They bank on the fact is that, hey, most attorneys charge $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, and so they would much rather pay the troll $3,000. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way the law, the pendulum swings.
Isn't that crazy, man? There's literally people making
extortion.
Yeah.
Basically. It's horrible.
You see that with a lot of new homes too. When you build, you subcontractors who don't show up at the office or show up at the job, and maybe they show up, they do a very bad job, and they want their $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, and the general contractor has to fire them, hire somebody else. Then they file a canceling by affidavit, and it's a simple $24 filing, and that thing sticks on your property for at least a year because they got to foreclose on it. Now, after a year, it goes away, but their bank is the homeowner will have to refinance or, basically won't be able to get his final loan, final draw.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked that lady to meet with me. I was like, look, let's just meet in my office and iron this thing out. She wouldn't meet. She wouldn't meet with me. And I think she probably knew it was coming, man. But is there a way, is there any other recourse besides paying an attorney 10 or 15 grand or more to take her to court? Is there anything else, someone like us or a real estate agent can do out there when they come across someone like this?
The homeowner should call the district attorney's office.
Yeah.
And report them. I mean, the homeowner, you couldn't do that because it's a business transaction.
Right.
But the homeowner could, because that affects their livelihood.
Yeah. Because
there may not be $2,000 or $3,000 a deal. And a lot of times these people who have those contracts, they're looking for a bailout. So the troll comes in and promises them the world, and they're just looking for bailout. I mean, they've already given up on their property. And so a lot of times they just want to be made whole.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they're not able to sell the home. They get hit with a foreclosure. And so, the district attorney's office, they won't take every case, but it's worth a shot. If enough people complain about that person, they may just open up a case. Yeah.
I just feel like eventually, someone like that's going to just come across the wrong person, and then they really are going to hit the kick you in the head button for doing that.
That would be a service. That'd be good service.
That would be a good service to the community, and someone should take it upon themselves to do that. I'm not a violent person, so it won't be me. I'm more of a lover, right? So, man, that's crazy. When I ran into that, it really threw me. It really threw me off because I just didn't think that was possible. But you mentioned something earlier. You said, well, if the contract is expired, maybe there's a way to get around that.
Right.
And I've heard you mention that before. You've said that in one of the other shows that we did together.
Correct.
So if the contract is expired and you, the attorney, reads the contract, I'm assuming you have to ask this person that filed the memorandum for a copy of the contract? How does that work?
That's correct.
Okay.
And in this particular case, I got a copy of the earnest money check that was written to another title company, but fortunately, their realtor had that, and so I got that. And then basically, the contract stated one date, the earnest money was deposited this date, and the memorandum showed a third date.
Yeah.
And so, just through thinking about title insurance, a lot of it is all based on risk.
Yeah.
And to us, that was a worthy risk. So submitted that to my underwriter, and my underwriter says, "Hey, no problem."
Yeah. So
we closed the loan, and the investor made a lot of money from it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, can the person that filed the memorandum of contract, I'm sure they weren't going to be happy because they didn't get their $3,000 or $4,000.
Well,
can they come back and sue for that?
Well, they could, and in this particular case, his brother was an attorney, and he started writing demanding letters, and we went back and forth a little while. I mean, real nice guy, and ultimately, it's just it didn't turn into a claim, but not that it couldn't have turned into a claim, but just it could have turned into a claim, but fortunately, it didn't.
Yeah.
But it would have been just one of those things that just kind of lingers, and
what would that look like? They would file a lawsuit, and then you have to obviously defend it,
right?
But then you would take it directly to a judge and have them dismiss it, or?
Well, basically, what would happen is they would say that they're owed this money. Now, whenever you have a breach of contract, you have to have money being awarded. So they would say, hey, had we bought the property and sold it, we would have made $9,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And so they would have actually sued me because I went around their lien. And a lot of that's theory of breach of contract or maybe tortious interference of contract, to where by him filing a memorandum of option or memorandum of contract, it alerted me and everybody else in the world that there was pending contractual rights on that property.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have either breach of contract between me and you, or tortious interference with third-party contract when I'm doing something to affect the contract between him and her.
Right, right. Did you guys catch all that?
I think David said we may have some questions over here.
Yeah, we had one from earlier, back on the subject to if the buyer intends to live in the house.
Federal laws, no. Federal laws, balloon notes are no longer an option, for an investor. So it's a, thank Obama for that one.
Thanks a lot, Obama. No, you cannot do that, Tim. Actually, that was a recent law that went in, and that was part of the Dodd-Frank Act, I believe.
Part of Dodd-Frank,
and
January 2014, I believe.
There you go. Look, hey, see that? I know a couple things.
You could.
So yeah, you can no longer put a balloon on a wrap. So if the person intends to live there as their homestead, that is no longer possible, or probably possible, but it's illegal now. So what happens if you do? And I've seen people do that. I have actually seen people close on transactions with a balloon with someone that's literally going to live there. So what would happen? Let's say if that end buyer, that end homeowner, was ticked off one day. What do you think could happen?
Well, what happens is he stops making his mortgage payment, and then of course there's a lawsuit, and the defense is illegal loan. Now, since the Dodd-Frank was just passed not too long ago, there hasn't been a lot of cases deciding that, but generally, if it's invalid, if it's illegal, courts can't enforce it. So no foreclosure, then essentially all that money they spent, they just walked away from.
Yep.
Yeah, and they get the house free and clear at the end of the day, right?
That's correct, because that lien is what secures them. Now, they can ding their credit, but who cares about dinging someone's credit? Because at the end of the day, they would much rather free house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need the credit after that.
Yeah,
it's like a home equity loan that goes bad. It's, you lose the lien. If the lien's no good, all you got is a promise to pay. And Texas is hard to collect a judgment from an individual.
Yep.
Michael from Facebook has said, thanks for the great information. He actually was in a similar situation where he actually had to pay $2,000 to release those properties.
Oh no, you ran into her.
Yeah,
Michael, you ran into her, Michael.
So he's smiling big. He's saying this information is definitely going to help him in the future. So
Michael, next time just hit the kicker in the head button, man. I'm telling you, that lady just rose me the wrong way. She's literally doing that just to extort people out of money. It's horrible, man. I hope I never meet her.
And send me a copy of the if you get the memorandum of options or memorandum of contracts, send a copy of it to me, email it to me.
You just heard, I mean, if the contract is not valid and everything else looks right, there is a possibility that an attorney like Ashley and his underwriting team can go around that. And,
that's pretty awesome. I don't think there's very many other, I don't think there's any other title company.
Well, nobody wants to take that kind of risk
Yeah.
because everyone else is worried about getting sued and having to go through all this process. So you actually have to understand what the process is and what could happen to understand if you're willing to take that risk or not. So yeah, now you kind of know how to go around it, man. It's crazy. You know, it's the other end of that. I have a memorandum of contract on a property, and I don't know if you remember this. This was 2 or 3 years ago. We were literally scheduled to close. It was a family that wanted to sell their house. You know, it was an older house that's getting ready to be or needs to be torn down, and I don't even think they live in it anymore. It's one of those old Heights houses. Right. And we're literally at the closing table. Money is there. We're waiting for them to show up, and they're like, "All right, we just changed our mind." Right. So, you know, I file memorandums on all of the contracts that we get, especially the stuff that we plan on keeping and we plan on renovating and reselling. These people didn't show up to closing, so a couple of months later, I get a call from their attorney, and their attorney's like, "Hey, you need to release this memorandum." And you know, I'm not real good. I'm not real good at dealing with mean attorneys, so I just hung up on the guy. And so next 6 months later, I get a call from a separate attorney. Same thing. I get a call from a separate attorney about 6 months after that, and it's kind of just been that way for the last 2 years. And my question is, well, what happens then? Is there a possibility that because my contract is no longer valid, that they can go around? And can they close on that transaction if they went to the right title company?
Well, I mean, the answer is you file what's known as a lis pendens. So a lis pendens is Latin for lawsuit pending. Now, what happens is the memorandum of contract just states that we have contractual rights. Now, if you want to enforce that, you should file a lawsuit eventually. So that's the next step. And once you file a lawsuit, that's when you convert the memorandum of contract to a lis pendens.
Yeah, because if you file a lis pendens without a lawsuit, now you're in trouble, right?
Well, the county won't record anymore. 2 years ago, the county records it. Now the county, under Chris Daniels, came out and said, hey, before you file lis pendens, they want to know the cause number.
That's probably a really good thing,
really
too,
good.
because before I know people were filing lis pendens and with no lawsuit pending.
Right. I mean, a lawsuit pending. I was like, I plan on filing a lawsuit, so that's what they go by.
Yeah, that's right. And then people were getting in trouble because of that.
Right.
All right, we're going to continue to talk more about lis pendens, memorandums of contracts, taking over people's notes, subject to, and all the other really cool, intricate legal stuff that you probably have a ton of questions on. Please continue to put your questions over in the Facebook, into Google, what is it called?
Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. Come on, guys. You guys help me out with all the social media stuff. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll be back in just a bit.
Broker at White Picket Realty. I want to let you know that when you're ready to stop working your real estate career and start building a real estate business, Team WPR is the place to be. Not only do we offer real results, real support, and real branding, but furthermore, 80 to 100% commissions of your hard-earned money going back to you. Make sure you reach out to us. Join at teamwpr.com. Again, that's join, Join, at teamwpr.com. Hey, Quest IRA, this is Alan over at White Picket Realty. Just wanted to remind you to save the date, June 16th, for free 3-hour MCE course for realtors only. Are you a realtor or do you know a realtor? Do you know that most realtors retire just over broke? We want to help you. We want to show you how you can invest in the stuff you know best by teaching you how realtors can retire rich. Sponsored by Quest IRA, White Picket Realty, and Texas American Title. Feel free to reach out to us and learn more about it. Save the date, June 16th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. See you there. Hey, Houston, this is Alan Hernandez over at White Picket Realty, and I want to share an important event that's coming up June 7th, 6 to 9 p.m. Make sure you guys save the date, save the time. St. Arnold's Brewery. What's happening at this event, David? What do we have going on there?
We're going to have our White Picket happy hour at, like you mentioned, St. Arnold's Brewery. We are expecting over 200 plus realtors, wholesalers, private money lenders, other investors, and other real estate professionals in general.
I've met attorneys at this thing. I've bought houses at this thing. I've sold houses. I've raised money. This is one of the best events in town, and people love coming out, not just because there's free food and free drinks, but because of the way that the event is set up and what we bring to the table in terms of bringing vendors right to their front doorstep and letting them know what we can do to help everyone's business. Isn't that the point of going to these networking events, to helping everyone grow?
Exactly. If you want to grow your net worth, RSVP at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com. Hey everyone, this is David with the House Flipping Network. And if you're like a lot of people, you're probably daydreaming right now about getting to fire your boss. Let me tell you about an exciting opportunity for you to do just that. If you've been looking to get into real estate investing or flipping homes, the House Flipping Network provides coaching and consultation services for people looking to grow a real estate investment business. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to me at david@houseflippingnetwork.com.
That was consenting relationship by the parents.
All right, man. We're back live. Speaking about consenting relationships.
It was consenting. Brandon, guys,
we're coming up on the end of the show here, so
it's getting ready to be over, man. I can't believe it.
I hope this isn't the last time we'll see you.
Nice.
We gotta have him back in here.
You want to come back here and talk some more legal stuff?
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. We have a lot of legal questions here. Apparently, I mean, look at all these comments we're getting on here. It's incredible. I haven't even got a chance to really read all of them. We're probably gonna have to do a part 2 of this show to answer all of your questions, guys, because we're literally running out of time here, and we got to start wrapping up. I know we probably have some houses to go buy, some houses to go sell. We got a lot of work to do. Hey, you got to go to court here in just a minute.
I do.
I mean, really? Seriously? You close 250 transactions. You close 400 transactions in a month, and you're going to court.
Small claims court. I mean,
And small claims on top of that.
Love it, you know.
That's what happens when you do favors for friends, man. They'll put you through the mud. We get that all the time. I got friends that call me all the time. Hey, I want to buy a house, but I only want you to charge me 1%. I'm like, I know you're gonna make me show you like 50 houses. You know?
We should have all been plumbers.
Yes.
When's the last time a plumber's waived their fee?
No,
Never.
never. Oh man! So this weekend we have some really cool stuff coming up. We have some awesome events happening in Houston, and we want to share some of those with you. We also want to talk about some of our own personal events too. We have some. What do we have coming up as far as White Picket events?
Okay, so coming up this next week on Tuesday, we have the White Picket Happy Hour. We should have over 200 investors, wholesalers, private money lenders, and realtors at the event. And we'll actually be broadcasting live from the event on that Tuesday. So instead of broadcasting from 10 a.m. to 11, we'll be broadcasting live from the event. And
Very cool.
Yeah, a week after that, we have our Quest IRA. We're hosting a class with Quest IRA. And
That's June 16th.
Exactly, June 16th from 10 to 1 at the Quest IRA. It's going to be a class that helps agents understand how they can use their self-directed IRAs to invest in what they know best, which is real estate.
Yeah, we found out through our research that most agents, first of all, most agents don't really do a lot of transactions per year. We start researching agents to figure out who we want to go out and recruit and who we want to bring, and we're really focused on bringing in really talented people here. So we start figuring out, how many transactions people have closed, and we start realizing, man, most of these people that are out there talking all this big game really aren't doing a lot. First of all,
1 or 2 a quarter, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's crazy. Right. It's crazy, and so. So then we start seeing that most agents are literally living from like paycheck to paycheck. I mean, it's essentially closing to closing. They'll make a $10,000, $15,000 paycheck, and it's like, woo, let's go out to Vegas, and buy a car or something. And then they're getting to the point where they're retiring just over broke. So essentially they just work the job.
Right.
So we want to change that. That's why we're having this event on June 16th. We want to teach people how to invest in the stuff they know best, which is real estate. While you're in it, while you have the passion for it, while you have the ability, make sure you come out and you hang out with us. That's June 16th from 10 to 1. We're going to show you exactly how to create a self-directed IRA and how you can use it to invest and not pay taxes on the money.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, the White Picket Happy Hour is on June 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. It's at St. Arnold Brewery, and you can RSVP for free at teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, that's teamwprhappyhour.eventbrite.com.
You forgot to mention the coolest part about the happy hour, man. Free beer.
Free beer. Good beer.
Sponsored by Patten Law Firm. Come on, guys.
Law Firm is one of the sponsors.
This man is buying the beer.
Thank you very much, man, for coming over.
Thank you.
It's been a blast hanging out with you today. We have some other cool events happening around town. What are some of the other things that are happening? We have Jimmy Buffett coming into the Mitchell Pavilion.
Yeah, he's gonna be at the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion.
Do we have any Jimmy Buffett fans in here?
Jimmy Buffett Margarita?
I mean, come on, who doesn't like that song?
Who doesn't like
If
it?
you don't like Jimmy Buffett, go back to your country, no? Because seriously.
Well, we had a crawfish bowl that got canceled because of the rain. So
There you go.
unfortunately, so
Yeah.
freeze up my night tonight.
There you go, Jimmy Buffett. That's at 7 p.m. That's actually that's Saturday. So tomorrow. Then we have Whitesnake. Now, I'm not a big fan of Whitesnake. Do you guys listen to this band? This band's been around for I don't know, like 30 or 40 years. Yeah.
No, since 1986, I believe.
Somebody
You're a fan.
listens.
You're a fan. You're a fan, aren't you?
It's a hair band. It's a hair band. I like all.
You
music.
did that. You did the hair thing,
I
didn't you?
did. Except I couldn't grow long hair because it wouldn't grow long.
Oh, there you go. Well, these guys all have hair down to below their shoulders, and apparently they rock out, man. So yeah, you can get some tickets at the Revention Music Center, which I've actually never been to.
That's used to be the Bayou Music Center.
Is that what it is?
It's right next to the Hard Rock in downtown.
Very cool.
They change the name of that place about every 2 years.
Sunday, there's something called Bands on the Bayou. How cool is that? That's Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. And there's a handful of bands that are going to show up. I don't think that people are charging, or I don't think there's a fee for that one. So you can literally go out there and hang out. It's really, really a cool thing. And the coolest thing we want to talk about is Free Press Summerfest.
Yeah, Free Press is this weekend, 2 full days. I think they've got over 100 bands this year.
Who's headlining that tonight?
This weekend, not Kendrick Lamar. It's going to be
We got
Dead
Dead
Chains and Dead Mouse.
Modest Mouse.
Yeah.
So many mouses.
And the location recently moved. Where did it move to?
They moved to the NRG parking lot, #1, because of the rain.
Okay.
They flooded out over by the bayou again, unfortunately.
How cool is that event? I've actually never been. I hear people talk about it all the time.
It's
go
pretty
this year.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Really?
If you're a concert person, I mean, you've just got
It's
stages.
one of those events where you can't say you're from Houston if you've never been to it. Just click on it again. Just click go live and click go live. Boom. There we go. And we're back.
We got lost for a second.
we got cut out. I
We're back.
think so. So I think the way that Facebook works is it limits you to 1 hour. So literally,
Okay.
when you've hit that hour, you're absolutely done. All right. Besides that, we have some exhibitions at It's called Discover the Dinosaurs. You can obviously go out there and check that out with your kids. That's Friday, June 3rd, or Friday through Sunday, June 3rd through 5th. We also have Houston Astros versus Oakland, right? And that's Saturday, Sunday, June 4th and 5th. You guys check that out. Make sure you guys are on our list. If you're not on our email list, you're not getting this email. But we send out this email once a week, letting you know all the cool events that are happening in town, as well as all the real estate related events and updates on the events that we think are worthy of attending. We'll keep you posted on some of the guests that we have coming up on our show. Thank you guys again for joining us, man. It has been a blast. I know we have a ton of other questions, so we're going to try to see if we can line up Ashley to come back again here in the next few weeks and maybe answer some more of those questions for you guys. Until then, what else do we want to make sure that everyone knows, guys? And is there anything else that people should be doing out there besides growing their businesses?
Take Uber if you drink.
Take Uber if you
There you
drink.
go. Be safe.
Take Uber while it lasts. Yeah.
I'll give you guys a few words of advice before we shut off. And I'm making this into a shirt. I've actually asked Adrian, my designer, to put this together. And you guys don't steal my idea, because I'm literally going to wear this to the gym and see if I can buy or sell some houses. All right. Number 1, be happy. Number 2, feel awesome. Number 3, buy and sell real estate.
Yep.
Number 4, repeat. So make sure you guys stick to that. Make sure you guys are having a great weekend. And if you guys can, make sure you join us next Tuesday. Next Tuesday from
6
10
to 9.
That's right. That's
For the
right. Next
happy hour.
Tuesday, because that's the happy hour from 6 to 9. We're going to be live on the show. We're going to be buying you guys some beer. We're going to be getting you guys some food. We're going to be talking real estate. We're going to be growing businesses. We're going to be making some money.
Absolutely. What grade do you give yourself today?
I'm going to say that today, based on my amazing performance.
I mean, last time you gave yourself an A-, and that was the first show. So
That was the first show, and I stumbled across every word, and I made so many mistakes. I'm gonna go with an A++, if that's available.
A++.
Wow.
It's hard to beat that,
AAA
though. You
rating.
set yourself very,
Well, that's those are the only grades available for me.
there's only A and A.
guys. Thanks so much for being on the show. Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
And we'll be back live again next Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hope to have you guys all back. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.